الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسول سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our listeners of Radio Al-Ansar. Welcome to a journey of a lifetime, coming to you live every Saturday between 2 and 3 p.m. You are tuned in to 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 FM in Pietermaritzburg. We are coming to you live from the studios of Radio Al-Ansar, 207 West Road, Overport, Durban. Alhamdulillah, we are having lovely weather in Durban this long weekend. Shukr to Allah. And of course, most people are on holiday. And of course, we are sitting in front or listening to the radio in our lounge or just relaxing. Alhamdulillah. We are just joined by Sheikh Adam Machesu, who has been running a bit late this afternoon. Sheikh Adam, welcome to A Journey of a Lifetime. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan, Brother Asif, and my apologies to you, to the listeners of the Radio Ansar.
No, it's fine.
For being late.
It's understandable. I'm sure you had some good reason for this.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think very quickly, it's something that you can't conceal. I lost my sister yesterday, and the burial was also yesterday after Jummah. And then, of course, that now made people coming home, and so that actually is what resulted in me arriving late for the studio.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. May Allah grant your sister the highest abode in Jannah and grant sabr to the family, inshallah.
Ameen.
We are sorry. Condolences to the family.
Jazakallah khairan.
Alhamdulillah, this afternoon we have live from Johannesburg, Hafiz Ismail Kurvadia, who is the head of mission for the South African Hajj and Umrah Council. And of course, Hafiz Saab will be leaving in the next few days together with a team made up of the head of medical mission and other senior mission workers. They will be traveling over to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and taking care of the logistics and preparing for the pilgrims who will be arriving in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia around about 29th of April, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Hafiz Saab, Jazakumullah khair for making yourself available to join us on A Journey of a Lifetime on Radio Al-Ansar this afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is indeed an honor and pleasure to be with you guys on the radio.
Jazakallah.
And I just feel honored to share a platform with two great stalwarts of Sahawk, alhamdulillah.
Jazakumullah khair. I think we appreciate that. But yeah, we're still learning, Hafiz Saab. We still got a long way to go.
True.
We need to learn from people like yourselves and Qari Saab and other individuals at Sahawk. Inshallah, we hope that we can learn from the experiences, the vast experiences that you have.
Correct.
Alhamdulillah, inshallah.
Inshallah. So yeah, Hafiz Saab, just the other day we started preparing for Hajj 2025, and of course the time has gone by so quickly, and we are now ready to leave, for the kingdom in preparation for the pilgrims who will be arriving at the end of April, inshallah. With regards to all of the preparation work, and of course we've been keeping our listeners and the public informed as to all the various processes that unfolded from the time that you left Saudi Arabia at the last Hajj, and you've been given the quota, and preparation started from there on. In Muharram, we had sent out the dynamic list, and people had to go on and check where they were in the queue, and thereafter there was a process of accreditation of operators, and then accreditation of pilgrims, and of course all of the other logistics with regards to the camp payments, and of course making sure that the operators meet all those deadlines, and that alhamdulillah the visas have started coming through for pilgrims. I think right at the time of Eid al-Fitr, I think at that stage already the first visa for a South African pilgrim was issued. Alhamdulillah, that time has moved so quickly, and with all that prep work that was happening, we are at this point now where you will be leading the mission together with the medical mission and other senior mission workers. You'll be traveling to the kingdom in the next few days, preparing for the pilgrims that will be traveling to Saudi Arabia at the end of April, inshallah. So how does this, unfold? What happens now when you move, when you travel to the kingdom and the preparations start with regards to receiving the pilgrims? What happens in this period?
Jazakallah. Firstly, we need to thank Almighty for granting us the opportunity once again to be able to serve His guest. The dynamics of Hajj is changing dramatically. In the past, we used to prepare 2 months or 3 months before Ramadan. Now it is basically when you return from the previous Hajj, you start preparing for the next Hajj. Alhamdulillah, I think with all the challenges that we've had and all the issues that came up from time to time, Alhamdulillah has made it possible for us to be able to overcome those challenges, and we are now basically preparing to leave. Yes, the mission guys were supposed to leave tomorrow. Unfortunately, due to a glitch on the system, the visas have not been issued. So we will be leaving in the next 2 or 3 days, subject to the visas coming through.
Sure.
So Alhamdulillah, we land in Makkah as we go first. Naturally, it's Jeddah, and then from Jeddah we travel to Makkah. And the first thing we do is do our Umrah. In my opinion, Umrah is taxing. So we keep a day to sort of relax and get all the tiredness out. And after that, we are back to work. Yes, we need to give the necessary and relevant information to all the relevant departments within the kingdom as to when our Hajis are arriving. Although a lot of these things are done electronically, but once we meet with the relevant role players, we basically confirm that information that has been sent. From time to time, there are changes and things like that, but we confirm with them, and Alhamdulillah, we then try to build up a relationship so that we can get all the logistics in place. A lot of the things the Hajis don't know about, are not aware about. For example, 72 hours before the Hajis land, whether it's in Jeddah or Medina, all the relevant information has to be handed in from the airports to our service provider, so they can make the adequate and necessary facilities available to the would-be Hujjaj. And that is so important because then it makes it easy for them, it makes it easy for us, and we can facilitate the Hujjaj with total ease. If that information is not forthcoming, then it becomes a bit of a challenge for all of us. It's a knock-on effect. But Alhamdulillah, I think the operators have been cooperating with us. We hope and pray that they will cooperate with us with the current Hajj as well. But we need to basically make sure that all that relevant information is given to the relevant authorities so they can meet up with their targets. And I think I mentioned this in the roadshow. They have set a target of about 55 minutes when the Haji lands and should be on his bus and on the way to his accommodation. Now, all this information will play an important role to facilitate and to achieve that target. Alhamdulillah, in the past couple of years, we've managed to achieve that, barring some hiccups from time to time. But overall, I think it has worked out. We need to set up our medical facility. We send medication from South Africa. So we need to obviously get that release from customs, need to meet up with all the requirements as far as the release of the medication is concerned, and then facilitate the clinics, as I mentioned, that we are going to be setting up at Movenpick in Medina. Most of the times, or 90% or 95% of the Hajis, from a South African perspective, land in Medina.
Ji.
So we concentrate quite heavily on Medina the first 10 days. And as and when it is time for the Hajis to depart from Medina to Makkah, a few days before that, we go and set up the Makkah clinic. So by the time the Hajis eventually come to Makkah, the facility is ready and we are then able to serve the Hujjaj. So yes, there's a lot of logistic takes place. Even for the preparation of the 5 days, we start discussing from now as to what we need to do. We go and have a look at the camps where we have been located, how far the preparations are made, so we don't have challenges at the last minute. So alhamdulillah, logistically, I think we try and take care of all those requirements, and that is one of the reasons why we leave before the Hajis come. And it is actually a contractual obligation for us to be there first and to be the last people to leave the country, so that all South Africans are in and out of the country. And if there's anybody that's left behind, we are not allowed to leave until such time the relevant or necessary arrangements are made. For example, somebody falls sick at the last minute, we cannot leave until that person has been discharged from the hospital. Either we have to stay behind, or we make arrangements with the responsible person to take full responsibility of that particular person. Then and only will the ministry allow us to depart the country. But alhamdulillah, we've been doing this for a number of years. And like I mentioned in the very opening statement, that things are evolving as far as the Hajj industry is concerned. They're trying to go as digital as much as they can, but they still have to be the element of the human being to be able to facilitate those processes. But inshallah al-Aziz, I'm confident with the preparation that we've done, with the cooperation of the operators as well as the Hujjaj, we will be able to meet up with our targets and responsibilities with ease. And inshallah al-Aziz, we cannot do anything without the command and the blessings of Almighty. So we're hopeful that inshallah, we will be able to deliver on what we anticipate to do.
Inshallah. Hafiz, if I may come in just for clarity, when you refer to the service provider on the other end that you need to share information with, you are referring to the muassasa that will be taking care of the South African pilgrims.
Yes, definitely the muassasa. Now, I think we need to explain the muassasa situation.
Yes,
so that the Hujjaj understand that.
Yes.
In the past, we were assigned a particular service provider with no choices.
Yes.
And they were known as the African non-Arab speaking muassasa.
Ji.
That whole system has now changed for the last 2 years. This is the second year, where it has now become a privatization situation. You have the choice to select whichever service provider you want to select based on price. And I think more important is service delivery. So last year we worked with the African Muassasa, who was known as Itra Al Khair. There were many reasons why we still continued with them, but we must say that the services that they had provided last year was absolutely excellent. It was one of the best services that I had experienced over the last 15 years. This year, unfortunately, when we sat down with them to negotiate for the current year, unfortunately, they did not meet up with our requirements and with our pricing structure. So we were technically forced into looking for another service provider. There's always positives and negatives when you are moving away. And I think as individuals, you're always skeptical to change.
Yes.
But from the discussions that we've had with our new service provider, firstly, they met up with our price. So we were quite happy and satisfied with that aspect. And the motivation that they had given us, and they showed us all the relevant services that they have provided to other countries, we are confident that they will be able to deliver maybe even better than what we had in the past.
Inshallah.
But again, we will hope and pray we are true and correct in our assessment. But primarily from all the discussions that we've had, inshallah al-Aziz, I'm sure and confident that they will be able to deliver what is required of our judge, inshallah.
Inshallah. Hafiz Ismail, Jazakallah khairan for that. A very simple question. You spoke of the delay in your departure due to non-availability of the visas. Does this actually affect the team in any way now that you'll be departing a little, late than the scheduled time?
Well, there's always going to be a knock-on effect to that. But inshallah, we will have to work around it. That's another challenge that we have to face up to. So I'm sure with the little experience that we've had of the past, we will be able to overcome this delay and just put ourselves under a little bit of extra pressure to make sure that when the Hajjis eventually land on the 29th, we will be ready and we will be able to give the same service had we left earlier. So yes, it is going to have a knock-on effect, but inshallah al-Aziz, we are already busy trying to see how we can overcome that delay. So hopefully in the next day or two, things will work out. It is more of a system issue. And I think it's something that the ministry got to sort out, and then we'll be on our way, inshallah al-Aziz.
Inshallah. After, if I may just take you a little back to the service provider and the Muassasa. I know the kind of deliberations that were held, and it's taken a long time to make this decision to move from Itra al-Khair to al-Masharik. Just, for the confidence of, our listeners and the pilgrims, the al-Masharik, which countries do they serve?
There's multiple countries, and I think just for the sake of the Hujjaj, I just want to mention one particular thing. Singapore last year moved away from them to another service provider. They came back to Masharik and they signed a 3-year contract.
Okay.
So that tells you that the service that they got last year was not to their expectation. And coming back to a service provider of the past and signing a 3-year contract, there must be something that this particular Muassasa is offering that motivate them to sign.
Absolutely.
Now, to answer your question, Malaysia, Indonesia, there's quite a few African countries this year that have signed up with them. So, we have done all this necessary investigations and deliberations before we decided to go with al-Masharik.
Okay.
And like I said again, the essence of it all will be when we are done with Hajj, we will be able to make a genuine assessment and say, look, alhamdulillah, the decision was right.
Yes.
And I think we must understand that we will not do things to fail.
Yes.
I think nobody work towards failure.
Yes.
Everybody works towards success. But how would you know that the one is better or worse than the other one? Basically taking references from different countries that they have been servicing. And until we don't take that bold step and change, we will not be able to do a comparison.
Absolutely.
But again, I want to reiterate, it was not an easy decision. It was a decision that we had taken, like you mentioned, after many months of deliberation. and consultation with other countries that have used their services. Malaysia, as we all know, is one of the bigger countries that they have served. And alhamdulillah, they have signed again with them. So I'm sure that they are doing something that is giving the pleasure to the Hujjaj and satisfaction to those missions that have signed with them. So inshallah, I'm, like I said, very hopeful. And I must say the discussions that we've had with them, it has been very, very positive. Brother Shaheen and Brother Muaz was away for the last week in the kingdom. They also met with them, and they were fairly impressed in the manner that they were received and the objective that they have put out and the type of target dates they have put out for facilitating our Hujjaj. So inshallah, Aziz, we request for du'as. Look, like I said again, everybody wants to achieve success and be on the top.
Yes.
But inshallah, I'm hopeful, more than hopeful, confident that inshallah they will deliver.
Inshallah. Afzab, with regards to the clinics, you indicated that there will be a clinic in Medina at Movenpick. Just with regards to Makkah and Azizia, where will the clinics be located?
Yeah, the Makkah clinic will be in Marriott Hotel.
Okay.
The Azizia clinic will be based at the Khidmatul Awam suites, that means Khidmatul Awam building. There's 4 buildings. They're all very close to each other. But inshallah, before the Hajis arrive, we will send them the locations and we will inform the operators accordingly to exactly where we are. There's a new regulation that has come out now in the kingdom that you're only allowed to operate a medical facility under a supervision of a Saudi authorized doctor.
Yeah.
And unfortunately or fortunately, there's a cost involved in that. It was not something that we knew about or we anticipated. But inshallah, Sahuk will absorb that cost for this year. And we'll have to have a supervisor from the medical fraternity of Saudi Arabia to be in attendance at all 3 of our clinics. Inshallah, we'll see how that pans out for the future.
Right. Oh. From what I see is that this is a private facility that they have set up, and there are many such private medical facilities that have been set up in the kingdom. And of course, I think what the Saudi or the Hajj and Umrah ministry is looking at probably to try and give them more and more responsibility with regards to the health, care of pilgrims. So at this stage, I believe that the facility will take care of, stuff that goes beyond the primary health care. So I was informed that when pilgrims arrive, of course, for now, the medical facility of the country, so Sahuk Medical Clinic, will take care of the primary health care. And of course, if it goes, beyond that and they need further help, then they will refer the pilgrims to this facility.
Right.
Is that correct, Hafizab?
Yes, from my understanding, there are different categories, Brother Asif.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and 4. It depends in which category that ailment falls.
Okay.
So if you are within the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd category, the clinic will take the necessary care and treatment. If you fall into the different number 4, 5, and 6 category, that has to be referred to the hospital.
Okay.
So like I said, once we get there, we will get much better insight of what those categories are. But you can't walk into that clinic as a normal Haji.
Yes.
You will have to come to our clinic. Our clinic will then refer you to this particular clinic.
Right.
Now, in Makkah, it is very centrally located, directly behind or in the Jabal Umar project. Let's put it that way, in the Jabal Umar complex.
Right.
Now, they don't have a facility in Medina. Medina, you will have to use the hospitals that are assigned to South African Hajis as per their visa. When it comes to Makkah and Azizia, we can then refer them to this particular clinic. And from the information that we have from the two brothers that visited, they said the clinic is state of the art. Absolutely, virtually all facilities that you can think about. But again, I don't want to commit, or I don't want to comment until such time that I have the relevant information. Say that, you know what, this is what can be offered, this is what can't be offered, this is the category we fall into. We will inform the Hujjaj accordingly, and that information will be given to you by our doctors both in Makkah, Medina, and Azizia, inshallah Aziz.
Inshallah.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khairan, Hafiz Ismail. And regarding this particular development, do we foresee, and I'm just hypothetically, thinking, do we foresee that maybe in future, this kind of, clinic might actually take over our, medical clinic in the few coming years? Or what is the plan according to your understanding?
Yeah, to be very honest, it's a very difficult question. But I'll tell you what happened in the Hajj conference. When we went to the Hajj conference this year, I told Muaz, our president, something is not getting too well with me. Because the amount of medical companies that were showcasing themselves at the conference told me there was something that's going to happen. What? I couldn't put my finger on it. And they didn't tell us about it when we were there at the conference. However, last year already when we were there, they were talking about having a a Saudi doctor that must be part of our clinic. Now, we told them that it's not something we can just arrange overnight. It's something that has to be told to us in advance. I mean, how do we go and find a doctor at the 11th hour? All these guys are in private practice or they're committed to their jobs wherever they are. So I think they realized that they put this rule in, but they didn't think the process. Subsequently, last year, they let it ride. This year, before we even now left the country, they came out with this regulation that you can only operate the medical facility with a supervision from a Saudi-approved medical facility. With that, they gave us 1,000 different facilities that are approved by the medical health of Saudi Arabia that can provide that service. But again, to us, for me specifically, and I think for Saud, it was also an 11th-hour decision. We had to now consult with different companies and see what was the best possible service and the best possible price that we can get to be able to comply with this regulation. Without even knowing the entity, because we didn't go with that idea when we went to the conference that we will have to contract with one of these clinics. But alhamdulillah, I think the choice was good. Now that our brothers have returned from the kingdom and we visited these people, and they were taken aback totally by the type of facilities that they provide, and they have. So alhamdulillah, this will be a learning curve for us. But the question that you ask, if I read between the lines, nothing confirmed, it might just be that they will be providing all the necessary medical treatment at a price. That is my assumption. Wallahu alam, we'll have to wait and see what actually happens after this Hajj, because now we will have to make more intense interrogation and investigation as to what is the long-term plan. But like I said, if I read between what's happening here, I think the possibility is going to be great that even if you send medical persons from here, you're going to have to work under their banner.
Yes.
Now, this was discussed with the Ministry of Hajj, and the answer they gave us that not so much South Africa, but many missions are not complying to the requirements of the Saudi health authorities.
Okay.
And they find, or they have picked up too many challenges. So in order to streamline that process, because we are there for 2 months, after 2 months, we're gone. But the facility local is registered on a permanent basis. So if there is any drawbacks or any challenges, they want to hold that facility accountable and responsible. So that is my thinking, and that is the answer they gave us.
Yeah.
But again, there wasn't too much of negotiation. We just had to accept it. Otherwise, our medical team would have been null and void.
Yeah. So I think,
But we have taken the decision. We have contracted with them on a supervisory basis, and we will be sending a medical mission from South Africa. And inshallah, like I said, our experiences will teach us. And based on that experience, we will then be able to say that, look, this is what the outlook is for the future.
Officer, from your response, I take it that they are trying to regulate the space as well with regards to if there are any challenges. As you indicated, we are there for 2 months, we leave, and, and that's it. But if there is a local medical company that is attached to the mission, then of course they become responsible, and then they have to answer to the authorities. And of course, there are many countries you indicated that don't, keep up to the requirements, and they mess up and that type of stuff. So yeah, I think they're trying to regulate. But on the other end, I think a lot of stuff that they're looking at is to go private. Privatization is happening in a big way in the Hajj industry in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And if you look at, even this year, I think they put in place that operators, travel agents that want to book accommodation will have to go through the muassasa in order to make the booking.
Yes.
They haven't been hard and fast about it, because they also indicated that if travel operators, agreed on a package and a price with the hotel, they are prepared to go with that. They are not going to charge any additional amounts or commissions or whatever. But I think come next year, they're going to put this, have a hard and fast rule, and they're going to make operators go through the muassasa in order to secure accommodation and other arrangements in the kingdom. Again, that is, they say they do it because of regulating this, the accommodation and, the hospitality side of things, where if, a hotel messes up and can't deliver, then the muassasa becomes responsible and not the operator from any other country that then leaves the country. So yeah, I think all of this is to regulate, but also privatization is something that they're looking at in a big way.
No, absolutely. I mean, like I mentioned earlier on, the entire dynamics of Hajj is changing. So we shouldn't take it as surprises. This is the reality. This is going to be the eventuality. And whatever the reasons are, be it privatization, unfortunately, you want to go for Hajj. And a lot of times what happened, Brother Asif, we don't understand the challenges that they face. I mean, there's 180 different countries that bring Hajjis into Saudi Arabia.
Correct.
Now, we may comply totally. Alhamdulillah, I must say, our medical team has been receiving accolades like you can't believe. We've been getting a AAA rating year after year. So it's very difficult for them to say, all right, South Africa is excluded from this. The other 5 countries are included in this. And the other 100 countries must do this. They have to make one rule that applies to all the 180 countries.
Absolutely.
It might be detrimental to us in many ways, but at the end of the day, I think we need to look at the situation holistically and understand that they may be having some tremendous challenges. And that is why they're implementing certain rules and regulations, as much as I agree that privatization is the top priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so we hope and pray Allah make it easy for all of us, inshallah.
Absolutely, and we hope and pray that it doesn't push the cost up, for pilgrims. At the end of the day,
no, absolutely.
When the government was handling all of this, it would have been subsidized to a large extent. Once you go private, then everyone wants to make some money, and as a result, someone has to pay, and that's the end user that ends up paying, these high costs of traveling. So yeah, just before Sheikh Adam comes in, I think. We're just running out of time, but with regards to the pilgrims that are going to depart South Africa, when are you looking at receiving them in the kingdom?
From the information that we have, the 29th. They'll be departing on the 28th from South Africa.
The
first Hajjis will be landing on the 29th, inshallah.
Inshallah. So, and many of them will be going directly to Medina. You will have a handful that will go to Jeddah, but of course, then they will take a transport. Most likely now they will be using the train system from Jeddah to Medina.
Yeah, well, I think from my information, there's two groups that are going to be performing a double Umrah. What I mean by is they will come to Jeddah, they will travel to Makkah, make a Umrah, spend 2 or 3 days in Makkah, and then obviously depart to Medina, spend the days in Medina, and then come back and perform another Umrah. I think plus minus is about 280 people that are going to do that.
Right.
Otherwise, most of them are going to land in Medina. Then there is going to be a small percentage where they don't have flights for Medina. They will come to Jeddah and they will have the choice, depending on what they package they bought. Either they go by bus, but I think majority are going to travel by train, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Hafiz, Jazakallah khairan once again. How many are you expecting? How many Hajjis are you expecting on as far as the first arrivals are concerned? Since you indicated that they're going to depart South Africa on the 28th and arrive in the kingdom on the 29th. Any numbers that you are expecting to receive thus far?
Plus minus about 200.
200.
Okay.
Yeah. Between 150 and 200. I don't have the exact figure, but it's around about that much. Those are all the 6-week package people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I think, the Medina arrivals makes it so much easier than people arriving in Jeddah and then having to, travel all the way to Medina. The most airlines now fly into Medina, and it makes it so much easier for them, and they're much more relaxed rather than traveling for many hours on the road from Jeddah to Medina. By the time they arrive there, they're very tired and exhausted, and some of them become ill and that type of thing. But fly into Medina and thereafter spend your days in Medina, and from there to Umrah, it makes it so much more easier, even from a coordinating point of view.
No, absolutely. I think it's something that we've been talking about all the time and promoting, that if the people can, they rather fly into Medina. When it comes to airports, it's a lot more comfortable. Like you said, you are much more relaxed. And also what we found is that when the people travel from Medina to Makkah by bus, it's a very, very strenuous journey.
Tiring.
So last year, we've been telling them that, try and put the Hajjis on a train. I mean, an 8-hour journey in opposing to a 2-hour journey. You must remember, they're going to be in the ihram.
Yes.
They're probably coming for the first time. So they have butterflies, there's anxiety. So there's a lot of challenges, when you are taking on this long journey. If the bus breaks down, now you stop somewhere halfway, and you find instead of 1 hour, you send it 2 hours. So it's in my opinion, that the way they're going around it now, inshallah Aziz, will take a lot of anxiety away. It will make the Haji feel a lot more comfortable, and inshallah Aziz, it will make it a lot more easier for them to move from point A to point B. So flying into Medina definitely is a big plus. and even moving by train from Medina to Mecca will be an additional plus.
Absolutely.
So we hope and pray that they have adhered to it. And like I said, at the moment, I don't know how many are going to coming by train. But whichever way, we have tried to advocate this to the operators that sell the package with the train ticket, inshallah.
Inshallah. Afsab, just one last question for myself before we conclude. With regards to the requirements from the Ministry of Health in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, with regards to the vaccination, the yellow fever, meningitis, and of course the COVID. If you can just take us through it very quickly, inshallah.
Yes. Now, there's so much of confusion, and this question was asked of me in a few of the road shows. Now, the yellow fever is mandatory once in a lifetime.
Yes.
Now, we are not included in the countries that they have specified. I'm talking about Saudi Arabia. But my recommendation that it is a preventative measure. You must remember, you're going to be sharing facilities with 2.5, 3 million people. There's a lot of waterborne diseases. You're sharing cups, all those type of things. So I would say, with the exception of those people that over the age of 60 who are exempted from taking the yellow fever, that everybody takes the yellow fever. Now, it's a once in a lifetime thing. Before it was, valid for 10 years.
Yes.
Now they say if you take it once, it's good enough. The meningitis is mandatory. You have to take the double strain one. And that is valid for 5 years. Now come to the COVID vaccine. Those people who are over the age of 65, they have made it compulsory. That means people who are under 65, they're not so much worried about. But the people above 65. Now, yes, there's a few challenges because firstly, the COVID vaccine is not available in our country. Nobody has stocks. And when we try to sort of source this the vaccination, it probably would have come to South Africa after Hajj is sort of done. So there is one other option where they're saying that you must go to the lab and have yourself tested to see that you are free of COVID, or if you had COVID, you have recovered from COVID. But I can't guarantee this is something that they're going to accept. Now, the delegation that have returned from Saudi, they're saying that if they give them, they are going to make some inquiries from the ministry that if they allow these people to enter the country, and if the vaccine is compulsory, they will give us the injection for those people. But that is subject to the ministry allowing that to happen.
Right.
Now, the challenge we face is that sometimes the airlines are instructed from Saudi Arabia not to board the passengers that don't have the relevant injections. Now, that is totally out of our control. We have tried to negotiate with all the relevant authorities. In fact, now when the delegation came back, they spoke to the ministry about it. And unfortunately, the Ministry of Health did not want to concede to our request. So for us, I think the best thing is to use the third option, where you go to the laboratory and test yourself out to see that you are not affected by COVID, and hopefully they will accept that as a means of allowing you to come or board the flight if they're going to check on the airports.
So
if not, then we will try and see how we can facilitate it in the kingdom.
Yeah, if I may just come in there, you are saying that someone must just go and do a COVID test to state that he's not having COVID.
Well, he must go to a laboratory, yes. He must get that, and he must have that record with him.
Okay. So,
paperwork.
Yeah.
That is one of the options they put on the requirements.
Okay. So one could just do a COVID
Yes.
test.
Do a COVID test, and when they give you a clean bill of health,
You carry that. And the other was for
You
to
carry.
test for antibodies, to say that you had COVID and
yes,
now you.
antibodies, yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Jazak.
Yeah.
Jazakumullah
Jazakallah Hafiz Ismail Kurvadia for